The crew of the spaceship is in cryogenic sleep. Astronaut George Taylor records his final log aloud. According to the ship's time, they left Cape Kennedy 6 months ago, but over 700 years have passed on Earth. Everyone who sent them on this mission is long dead. Still, Taylor feels no regret. From out here, everything looks different. Time seems distorted, and space feels infinite. Taylor's only curiosity now, whether the humans who launched him into the stars are still out there, fighting the same pointless wars. He glances at his watch one last time. Earth date, March 27, 2673. Then he looks at his crew and lies back into his sleep pod. Sometime later, the ship crash lands on an unknown planet, right in the middle of a body of water. The crew awakens and realizes they've been asleep far longer than planned. The biggest shock? The only woman on board, Stewart, is dead. Suddenly, the ship begins filling with water. They must evacuate immediately. Luckily, the atmosphere outside is breathable. They glance at the ship's Earth-based time display. November 25th, 3978. They abandon the sinking vessel and escape on a lifeboat. The natural beauty surrounding them is breathtaking, but there's no sign of intelligent life. Taylor reminds them, they're roughly 320 light-years from Earth, somewhere in the Orion constellation, on a planet no one can identify. No one had the chance to fully analyze the data. There's no clear confirmation of where they are. After reaching land, Taylor checks the salvage supplies: a pistol with 20 bullets, a first aid kit, and enough food and water for 3 days. Now there's only one question on their minds. How long is a day on this planet? They discuss Stewart's death, most likely caused by pressure loss. From the look of it, they've been in flight for 18 months, but over 2,000 years have passed on Earth. Returning home? A fading dream. There's nothing left. Time has erased everything they once knew. Now they must begin exploring this planet. Initial scans show that nothing can grow here. The atmosphere contains barely any carbon dioxide, but thankfully it's not harmful to humans. Their supplies will only last 72 hours. Landon plants a small American flag in the sand, and the astronauts set off. They're surrounded by wild alien nature, strange rocks, lifeless canyons. More than once, they narrowly escape landslides. Lightning lights up the sky, but no rain falls. The horizon is cloaked in clouds. There's no satellite, no landmarks to guide them. The only thing they know for sure, there's a massive time gap between them and Earth. Everyone they loved died over 20 years ago. Even if they returned now, no one would remember them. Taylor urges his friends to keep moving. He questions why they even took this journey. Was it for fame, for knowledge, or just to live a little longer? Either way, they've now outlived every human back on Earth, Taylor admits. He took this trip because he was a dreamer. He believes there must be life out there, something superior to humans. Suddenly, Dodge calls out to them. He's found life. In the middle of the rocky desert, a tiny green sprout, proof of vegetation, and a sign that more is out there. The group keeps moving forward, but everywhere they look, it's just harsh, cold stone. Then, in the distance, green bushes and odd cross-shaped scarecrow figures. They walk a bit further, and finally, they see water. Excited, they strip off their clothes and jump in. They swim to the shore, overjoyed. But once they reach land, they notice something in the sand. Human footprints. Suddenly, dark figures emerge from the shadows and start stealing their clothes. The men rush after them, following scraps of torn fabric and tracks left behind. The direction of the footprints reveals where the thieves ran. Soon, the astronauts reach their torn clothes and cover themselves with whatever pieces they can salvage. Eventually, they come across an open clearing where they see strange people acting oddly. They're silent. They ignore the astronauts completely. Calmly, they just pick fruit and eat. The Earthlings are confused. Why are these people acting almost primitive? Thankfully, they don't seem cannibalistic. Suddenly, a terrifying sound echoes from the forest. Panic erupts. Everyone scatters. The astronauts try to make sense of the chaos. Then gunshots ring out. Armed riders appear, and behind them, apes. They've come to hunt humans. The astronauts try to flee, but in the confusion, the group is separated. Gunfire echoes from all directions. Dodge is shot and killed. Taylor and a few others run toward the river. Just when Taylor is about to escape, a bullet hits his neck. He falls unconscious. When he wakes up, he's bound and tossed into a cage with other prisoners. He's stunned as he watches the apes pose with the humans, like they're taking trophy photos. Soon after, Taylor is taken to a hospital. There, ape scientists examine him. Because of the wound in his throat, Taylor still can't speak. His strange clothing catches their attention. The chimpanzee scientists argue over what to do. One suggests they study his brain. They treat him like an animal. The next morning, Dr. Zira makes her rounds through the cages. Taylor grabs her attention. She nicknames him Bright Eyes because of the way he mimics speech so convincingly. Taylor tries to prove his intelligence. He lunges for the pen in Zira's hand. Just then, Dr. Zayas arrives. Zira excitedly shows him the unusual human, but Zayas is skeptical. He thinks Taylor is just mimicking. Still, Zira insists. Taylor wears a blanket-like clothing and uses hand gestures unlike any other human. Maybe he's more intelligent than they think. But Zayas isn't convinced. Zayas grows angry, dismissing everything as cheap tricks. To him, humans are dangerous. They must be destroyed. As a gift, Taylor is given a female human companion who's locked in his cell with him. The next day, Taylor and the woman are brought out into a courtyard cage. Zira brings her fiancé, archaeologist Cornelius, to see Taylor, but he sees nothing special in him. As the apes argue among themselves, Taylor crouches and begins writing something in the dirt. No one notices. Then Dr. Zayas returns, clearly annoyed by Zira's fascination with humans. Suddenly, a wild human attacks Taylor. Chaos erupts. Guards drag Taylor away, but not before Zayas notices the writing in the dirt and quickly erases it. Zira later apologizes to Taylor. He grabs paper and a pen and writes his name. Zira is stunned and takes him to her home. Cornelius doesn't believe it. He thinks it's all a trick. Humans can't write. They wonder how Taylor learned it. Taylor writes the name of the school he attended. The apes are speechless. Could this human actually be intelligent? Taylor tells them he came from another planet. Cornelius listens, confused. Flying is impossible. To prove it, Taylor folds a paper airplane and sends it flying. Then he asks to see maps. He explains where they landed and how they got there. Zira and Cornelius begin to argue. Zira believes humans might be a mutation, a missing link between apes and something older. Maybe apes evolved from humans. Just then, Dr. Zayas storms in. He crushes the paper plane in anger and orders Taylor to be locked up again. Taylor and Nova are returned to their cage. While they sleep, a group of apes enters. They plan to sterilize Taylor, but Taylor breaks free from his chains and escapes. He hides in a temple, but he's spotted, and soon a citywide chase begins. He runs into a museum, where human figures are displayed like statues. What he sees in the museum horrifies Taylor. He bolts into the street, but gets caught in a net. At that moment, Zira finds him, and suddenly, Taylor's voice returns. The apes are stunned. Later in his cell, Taylor tries to teach Nova to speak, but the apes move her to the opposite cage. Taylor tells her about his life on Earth, but admits he never loved anyone there. He wonders if Nova is capable of love. Soon, a collar is placed around his neck, and he's taken to court. A trial begins. Zira and Cornelius speak in his defense, but the judges are furious. Taylor isn't one of them, so they say he has no rights. If that's the case, Taylor asks, then why is he even on trial? The court reluctantly gives the defense time to speak, but Taylor insists on defending himself. A theologian scientist is called as a witness, meant to prove Taylor is irrational because he can't even answer simple questions. But Taylor doesn't know their culture, and he's forbidden to speak, so he writes his answers and submits them to the court. Cornelius reads aloud that Taylor is a space traveler from another planet. The apes scoff. Taylor demands that the other humans caught with him be brought forward. Landon is brought in, but doesn't recognize Taylor. There's a scar on his head. Taylor realizes Zayas must have lobotomized him. He's taken back to court again, where Cornelius defends him, stating Taylor spoke of the Forbidden Zone and described it in detail. Cornelius admits he visited the zone himself and found remains of an ancient civilization. Zira joins the argument. If Taylor didn't come from another planet, then he must have been born on this one. According to her, humans have no anatomical reason not to speak. The problem isn't physical, it's mental. That's the truth, but no one wants to hear it. Now even Zira and Cornelius are accused of scientific heresy, and the trial is shut down. Taylor's fate is sealed. He's handed over to Dr. Zaius, who intends to operate on him. Taylor is furious. How could such a twisted civilization have come to exist? And more importantly, why is Zaius so afraid of him? Zira can't accept it either, and she plans an escape with Nova. Outside the city, Cornelius meets them with a horse and supplies. He suggests returning to the site where the spaceship landed. They set off and follow the river, which should eventually lead to the sea. Soon, they reach the site of Cornelius's excavation. He leads Taylor to a cave, but just then, Zira spots someone approaching. Dr. Zaius has tracked them down, but the doctor isn't ready for what's waiting. Taylor is armed. The astronaut offers a deal. If Cornelius can't prove humans existed before ape civilization, Taylor will leave and never interfere again. They all enter the cave. As Cornelius displays his findings, Taylor discovers more: false teeth, glasses, a metal cap, and most shockingly, a toy doll that says, "Mama." Zaius tries to explain it away, but before he can finish, gunfire erupts outside. Everyone runs toward the entrance. Rogue guerrillas are attacking. Taylor takes Dr. Zaius hostage and demands everyone back off. In exchange for Zaius's release, he asks for a horse, food, and water for himself and Nova. Just as he's about to leave, he turns and asks Zaius, "Why are you so afraid of me?" Zaius replies, "Because you're a man." He says humans are responsible for turning a once thriving world into a barren, forbidden zone. Humans are the lowest and most dangerous of creatures. Taylor and Nova ride off, while Zaius orders the cave destroyed and has Zira and Cornelius arrested, believing he's protecting his own species' future. Taylor and Nova ride along the beach, until suddenly Taylor stops. His face turns pale. He dismounts, stunned. Before him stands the ruined upper half of the Statue of Liberty. Humans had returned long ago and destroyed everything. Taylor collapses, screaming in anguish, while Nova looks on in silence.